Hello and welcome to another day on Cornwall Pocket Farm, where I try and figure out how to live sustainably on 300 square metres in the city. It's a disgusting day outside. It is pouring with rain. It's very dark. I've got all my lights here, all my lights as close to me as I can to try and get as much light because it is so gloomy. So this video is the make of, well, the first pair of trousers. I've actually split the making of the trousers into two videos. Originally I was going to make two pairs of trousers in one weekend, but as you will see, things did not go according to plan. So this video is about the making of the first trousers. I've called them the Grace Kelly. Then there will be another video after that, which is the making of the second pair of trousers, which I'm thinking of calling the Coco trousers after Coco Chanel. So the problem now I'm having with modelling these clothes and doing the big reveal is that it's cold. It's a bit nippy, and yes, so I have to take all my clothes off and get into these summer clothes and sort of prance around like it's the middle of summer. Well, today it's going to be rain on the windows and quite miserable outside and quite dark and grey. But anyway, hopefully you'll get the idea and you can sort of imagine me in some sun-drenched, sort of beautiful French-German cobbled street. That is not the environment I have. There will be a reveal at the end of this video, and please excuse the goosebumps because I might be a bit cold. So it's Saturday morning now. It's a little bit later than I'd originally planned. It's 10:30. I wanted to get up earlier and crack on with these trousers because these trousers themselves are quite easy, but I've got this mad idea to try and make two pairs of trousers this weekend. I have fabric for two pairs of trousers, as you will have seen, and yeah, I'm thinking I can probably knock this one pair of trousers out in one day, although I did start now at 10:30, so we'll have to see about that. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm making these trousers. These are the trousers that I wear all the time. This is my fifth pair of these trousers that I've made. I alter the pattern, I do something a little bit different each time, but what I have done over time is basically make a trouser pattern that really fits me. Trousers bought at shops are an absolute disaster on me. They gape at the waist, they're incredibly uncomfortable. I find it very difficult to sit down in them, they're too tight, all sorts of issues. So I have developed a trouser pattern over several years that fits me and fits me really well. I have found that I have a number of issues. So I have the difference between my waist and my hips is 2 sizes, so that means most of the trousers gape. I have a sway back at the back, so they definitely gape at the back. I find that this little buckle that I put on these high-waisted trousers, I find that works really nicely just to make it fit well. So I have that. I've discovered forward tilting hips, so basically the trouser legs never used to sort of fall right. I would get sort of creasing in odd places. The widest part of my lower half is my lower hip, shall we say. So I have my hips, my hip bones here, it comes out as normal, and then there's a little bit extra flare, which we call the lower hip. So I like a trouser that basically accommodates that and sort of flatters it by basically coming over it and just sort of skimming there and then just falling, so you don't really know it exists. That's the idea. I also, on me, I don't like trousers that are very form-fitting and, well, to my mind, they just give a bit too much information that I'm sort of comfortable with. So I like a loose-fitting trouser that sort of just is more in the 40s style, I suppose, where it's sort of fitted on the top, on the hips, and then it sort of drapes. It's a little bit more like a skirt in trouser form, if you know what I mean, rather than the modern style, which is basically skin tight on every part of your lower body right down to your ankles, which is not at all flattering on me. So yes, so the idea is I've made these trousers multiple times. I think I've made 4 or 5 pairs of these trousers before. I've also used this pattern in the overalls that I've made that you see in my gardening videos. Those overalls I made using this trouser pattern as well. So shouldn't be too hard. usual catchphrase. Shouldn't be too hard to knock up a pair of these trousers pretty quickly. The difference I'm making with these trousers is I'm not making the high-waisted ones like this. I'm actually going to make a waisted pair of trousers, so I'm going to put a waistband on it, so like the skirts that I've made, it will basically hit at the same point basically, so hopefully all the jackets and tops and everything should go well with these trousers. So that's the plan. There's not really that much to it. I do have pockets on this. Please excuse that noise. The husband is baking some bread at the moment, so he's in the pantry, which is just through that wall, banging around and getting out various ingredients. So yeah, please excuse that noise. Anyway, there are pockets on these trousers, so they're just like this, a slit pocket, just like this, just enough to get a hand in, a few bits and pieces. There's no pockets on the back. So that's the design. I'm just gonna, and I've got that blue canvas which I've showed you before already. So I'm just gonna knock those out. I do have that other piece of fabric, the linen that I bought, and I would really like to make some sort of quite loose palazzo type pants. Okay. Incredibly frustrating. I have just got out both of the pieces of fabric that I bought to make these trousers, and both of them are too small, and I don't have enough fabric of either of them. So I bought the fabric for this capsule wardrobe from Spotlight, and I probably don't buy that much fabric from Spotlight. I would generally buy fabric from some of our other fabric suppliers in Auckland. And what has surprised me is actually how narrow the fabric is. I suppose I'm more used to fabric that's like 140, 150 wide, that sort of width. And the fabric that I bought from Spotlight, the linen, I don't know about, I can't remember about the print fabric, but certainly the linens, and now it seems this sort of cotton drill fabric. This is the same linen that I made the suits out of. They're all 112 wide. And of course, I tend to know how much fabric I need for something, so when I make a pair of these trousers, I know I need 1.5 meters of fabric. But obviously not when it's 112 wide. Because it's a wide leg trouser, it just won't fit side by side. And of course, I don't have enough to do one leg and then another leg sort of in what's that, parallel? Not, that's parallel, what's the other one? Don't know. So I don't have enough fabric to do the two legs side by side as I would normally do. They have to go behind each other, and of course I don't have enough fabric to do that. And there's no way that I can work out to make these trousers fit unless I did a sort of I don't know, a cigarette pant or something, which, as we've already discussed, is not my best look. So I'm going to have to go to Spotlight. Really frustrating. It's Saturday, so I'm losing an entire day. I'm going to have to go to Spotlight. Hopefully they have some more of these fabrics. The odds of that fairly slim, so I'm going to have to go and pick some new fabrics to make trousers out of. Come back, of course, then I'll need to wash them. I'm hoping that I can get all that done today, which leaves me Sunday to make some trousers. I know I said these trousers were going to be quick, didn't I? So they've been a bit delayed obviously, and then when I make them they're going to be super quick. So, I'm having a cup of tea to calm my nerves, and then I am off to Spotlight to try and find some new fabric. Stuck in traffic getting to Sylvia Park. Well, I am really pleased with that. I just went into Spotlight and I think I found exactly the same fabric, just a little bit left on the roll, and it was enough just to what I need. And when I got to the counter, if you finished off the roll, there was an extra 30% off. So I got a real bargain. So pleased with that. And I do have the fabrics that I need now to finish the project. Yay! Okay, score. I've got fabric. Really pleased with the fabric, because I'm pretty sure these are the end of the rolls that I originally bought. I also bought an extra zip because I couldn't remember if I had a zip for one of these pairs of trousers, but I got a zip. But here we go. I have this fabric, which I hope is the same as this fabric. I think it is. I mean, this fabric I have washed. This fabric I haven't washed. I'm hoping they're the same, because I figured it out that basically I need 2.20 meters of the fabric to be able to lay the trouser pieces in tandem rather than in parallel. So they only had 1.5 meters of this fabric. So I'm hoping it goes with this other fabric, because I need to use both of them together. But of course one's washed and one isn't. So I have to wash this, because otherwise that would be a very bad look if one leg shrunk and the other leg didn't. So I'm going to wash those, and I'm hoping that that's the same fabric. Hoping that when it's washed, yeah, fingers crossed there. The other fabric, they had I was looking for 2.5 meters of it, and this, I think they had 2.9 meters of it on the roll. So I bought all of it. The reason being, they had a 30% off sale off all of the fabric anyway, and then they had an extra 30% off if you finished the roll. So, of course, for 0.4 of a meter, I'm going to finish the roll to get extra 30% off the fabric. So, yeah, really pleased with that. Pretty sure, again, yeah, really sure that that actually is the same fabric. So I can see, oh, I must get it mixed up, which is the new stuff and which is the old stuff. That's the old stuff. This is the new stuff. Mustn't get them mixed up and forget which one to wash, must I? I don't want to wash everything again. That's the new fabric. Right. If I can get them mixed up, that's a really good sign, isn't it? So yes, I think they're the same fabrics. Okay, so I've got the receipt. Now, I don't know if I can decode this. This sky blue, I got 1.6 meters of it, so not enough to do a full set of trousers in this fabric. I'll have to mix the two. But I ended up getting this fabric for $6.80 a meter. I'll have to look on the interweb and put on the screen what the original price was of it. But essentially I got 60% off this. So if you're very good at maths, you can probably work that out. This other fabric here, again, 30% off and then another 30% off. And I got 2.95 meters of this fabric. And that turned out to be $14.70 a meter. So yeah, really good price, because this fabric, again, I'll put on the screen what price this fabric is new. So very pleased with that. It was worth the trip probably. So it actually took me about 1 hour and 50 to go over to Spotlight on the bus, find the fabrics and get back home on the bus. So it's now about 2 o'clock, so I'm going to get these in the washing machine, get them on the line. It's nice and blowy, so fingers crossed they should dry for tomorrow. Okay, so that drama over. My plan now is actually to work on the patterns. This pattern is just a very straightforward take on my standard pattern. I'm just going to put a waistband on rather than having this sort of raised waist option which I have here. I'm not going to do the tie on the back, the little buckle tie. And I've just slightly narrowed the leg by a little bit either side just to make it a little bit sort of more fitted as it goes down my leg, but not a lot. So that one is pretty much done. I have a standard waistband in my stock, so I basically just use that straight oblong waistband for any time I need a waistband. So this one's pretty done, but I've got ideas about the one, the other pair, the second pair that I want to do in the blue linen, which is a bit more of a palazzo pant. Yeah, so I'm just going to work on that pattern so that my patterns are all ready, so that tomorrow when I actually get the fabric, which is now out on the line just behind you, hopefully drying, it's sunny and windy so it should be good. So I thought I'd get all the patterns sorted, and I suppose technically I could cut out one leg of the pale blue canvas trousers, but I might just leave all the cutting till tomorrow. So I'm just going to work on this pattern and then wait for my fabric to dry. Okay, it's 8:30 on Sunday morning and the fabrics are washed and dried. So while my wonderful husband is making some breakfast, I am going to iron them so that they're ready to crack on with this as soon as we've had some breakfast. Very funny sort of day out there. It's raining and very windy, and every now and again the sun comes out in between all of it, so I'm glad I'm not in the garden today. It's a perfect day for sewing. I've looked at this fabric for the first pair of trousers and there is a slight difference, so I don't think, oh, it's tiny. I think it's barely anything, but I do think that actually there's a slight difference in the fabrics. Maybe it's just a colourway difference. So I don't think that this came off the same roll as the other one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pattern piece out of each fabric. So the front pieces will be one of the blue shades and the back pieces will be the other blue shade. So I think the only time that you might see this very, very slight difference in the colour would be down my side seam, down here. And I think really, honestly, if you're staring at somebody's side seam, that's a bit of a problem. It's so close, and I'm going to call it a design feature because my husband has just told me that he was into David Jones the other day and they have shirts there that actually have different fabrics on the front and the back as a design feature. So yeah, I'm going to call it a design feature. Anyway, that's my plan. That's the fabric I've got and I'm going to make these trousers. Is this project going to be cursed from the very beginning? Maybe it's a sign that I shouldn't wear trousers. I need a little bit of lining fabric for the pocket linings, and I like to use a really fine lining fabric, and I found this little bit of offcut in my stash. I think that'll be a rather nice match. Okay, I have done the front pockety pieces, so I have the slant pocket in and there's a little pleat that comes out of that pocket. So I've done that. We've got the pocket bag and the pocket facing on the other side, so that when, if you see a little bit of the pocket, it has a little bit of sort of the pretty fabric on the inside. I've cut 4 of these, so essentially I'm going to use those for the other trousers as well. So that bit is done. That's the trickiest bit with these trousers, to be honest, or maybe putting the zip in. So now what I'll probably do is put the fronts together and just zoom around doing seams, really. While I've got this out, I'll show you actually just how I store my patterns. So this is a new technique that I found. I did have all these bits of paper with sort of bits and envelopes and bits of string and elastic bands, and it was all crazy. But then I went down to the charity shop and I bought some of these folders. I get them for 50 cents. So I got some of these to put my knitting patterns in, and I'm also using them to put my patterns in. So it means that each pattern has an envelope, and it can all sit there, and I can look at all the pattern pieces. So if I need the pattern pieces, say from this, this is the it was a navy Laura Ashley dress, which I cloned to make the grey dress. And all those pattern pieces are in here together now, so that I can reuse that, and it's much easier. It also holds them all flat, and then they fit in my drawer really nicely. So that's the new technique I've come up for storing my patterns, and I'm really pleased with it. It's working a treat at the moment. So much easier to operate than the bits of string and random envelopes and things like that. Okay, so the next seam is going to be the seam to hold the 2 front pieces together round to the crotch. I will also do that same seam on the back, and I also have some darts to pop into the back as well. So I'll do the darts on the back and also sew that crotch seam on the 2 pieces. And of course, a good press. I never know. Do you press your darts in or out? Do leave a comment below. I never know. Is it in or is it out? I always do a 1 centimetre seam with trousers. I've found that it works better, you know, because all around the crotch now there's some quite sort of acute curves. And I've found that if you're using a fabric like this twill fabric, it has a bit of a stretch to it because of the weave of the fabric. And I found that if I just do a 1 centimetre seam on it, I don't need to clip the curves, which makes the crotch seam sort of stronger, if you like, because obviously if you've got that tight curve and then you clip the curves, you're sort of weakening that seam. I have stitched all the front seam together down to the crotch seam. I have now stitched the 2 pieces back and front together, and I'm just going to put the zip in. Now I do it the old-fashioned way. I've put zips in and taken zips out more times than I've had hot dinners. Well, not quite, but you know what I mean? An awful lot of times, because you merrily pin it and then zoom away on the machine, and then you get to the other side and it's not worked and it's a bit funny and there's a weird bit and it's moved and the pins don't work. And so after many times of doing this, I hand baste the zip in. So I'll pin it in like this and I'll hand baste it, take all the pins out so that then it cannot move. And particularly because I put zips in side seams on trousers, the side seams of course are a curved seam, which means that all that fabric's on the bias and it is stretching. When you go down one side of the zip, it's stretching one way, and when you go down the other side, come up the other side of the zip, it's stretching the other way. Now I'm using an old-fashioned zip. It's not an invisible zip, it's a normal zip. So I'm just going to do I think they call it a lapped zip or something. And the zip that I'm actually using is a dress zip. I've tried, like on these trousers, I have a trouser zip with metal teeth in it. And I don't find it that great. And the last pair of trousers I've made, I put a trouser zip in it as well. And it's quite rough and it catches. And because they're quite loose trousers, they don't actually have much sort of tension on them or anything. So I think a dress zip is nicer. And also the colours, to try and find colours that match with your fabric, there's a lot more options in dress zips than there are in trouser zips, I've found. And on a time check, we are just coming up to 1 o'clock. So technically still in the morning. Of course, what I'm going to do is do the majority of the trousers as I can today, and then things like hand stitching and maybe putting waistbands on and that sort of thing I might do sort of in the evenings, those sort of finishing bits and pieces. I need my daughter to come over anyway to help me with the hems, so probably what I'll do this afternoon is to actually storm on with the other pair of trousers. That's, fingers crossed, nothing more goes wrong with this pair of trousers, and we can crack into it, because I've just got, yeah, I've got the zip to do, I've got the other side seam and then the crotch seam, and then waistbands may happen in the week. We'll see. This is something else I did. After many years of not knowing what any of these things are, well, I should say I did it, my daughter did it for me, which was wonderful. I just found this little box in a charity shop, and my daughter has written in which feet each of these feet are, because some of these, well, a lot of these actually just came with the machine. I didn't know what they were. So she researched online, found out what they all were, and then has basically written in the bottom what they are, which is really helpful. So if I want to get my zip foot, if I want to get my invisible zip foot, it's all in here, which is great. I have put the zip in. It is not beautiful. I would not do a putting in zip tutorial, but it's in, and it'll go up and down and open the trousers and close the trousers. So I'm happy with that. Job done. As you can see, I've done a sort of a lap zip. Needs to have a bit of a press, but yeah, sorted. Right, next thing to do is to do the other side seam and then the inseam. Then I think it's lunchtime. So I have all the seams done. I have the pockets, the zips done. It doesn't have a waistband yet. This is the waistband here. But it is now 2:30 and I've decided to move on to the next pair of trousers because these are fitting well. I've tried them on and they're looking good. So I'm going to leave these and I'm going to put the interfacing on and put the waistband on in the evenings to get that done. So I'm going to stop doing this now. I know I can finish these in the evenings, and it's really just getting it done in the evenings. There's nothing sort of tricky about it. But I want to get on to the other trousers because that's going to require a little bit more thought and time and dedicated effort. I've put the waistband on, but it's still quite big, and it's coming up high at the back. So I need to cut this down just a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. The back here is coming up quite high, and so I need to attach this waistband further down. They're a bit big, so I just need to pinch out these darts just a little bit more, I think. Apart from that, they're fitting nicely. They're not grabbing anywhere. They're not sort of sucking up anywhere, doing any of those awful things that trousers do. Yeah, I like the fit. I like a really sort of relaxed fit, so that there's nothing sort of tightly grabbing me anywhere, and I'm quite pleased with those. So yeah, I just need to make those alterations, and I think we're there. And then of course we need to hem. So please excuse my makeshift top situation, but I just needed to get it out of the way to sort out the fit. But I think we're there with these trousers.